Hi guys, and welcome to EverlastCyber. In today's video, we'll be going through some multiple choice questions for SQL, and we'll also be sharing the explanation of the different options given. We'll start off with knowing what SQL is. So SQL, or Structured Query Language, is a programming language that is used for storing and processing information in a relational database. Now, this relational database management system uses SQL to store and manage data. SQL has different components, such as an SQL table, SQL statements, and stored processes. The SQL table is the basic element of a relational database, and it consists of rows and columns. Database engineers create relationships between multiple database tables in order to optimize data storage space. So, for instance, the database engineer can create an SQL table for products in a store, and then the database engineer links this product table to the color table. So for instance, a store that sells mattresses, like beddings, the database engineer can create a table listing the product name, the product ID, and the color ID. And then there can be a different table of colors. Now, the database engineer goes ahead to link the product table to the color table. And usually we'll also learn about something that is called either the primary key or the foreign key. Another component of the SQL system is SQL statements. These are queries or valid instructions that relational database management systems understand. Software developers build SQL statements by using different SQL language elements. So, the SQL language elements are components like identifiers, variables, and search condition, and this forms a correct SQL statement. The third component of the SQL system is stored processes. These are a collection of one or more SQL statements that are stored in the relational database. Software developers use these stored procedures to improve the efficiency and performance. So, for instance, they can create a stored procedure for updating sales tables instead of writing the same SQL statements in different applications. Let's dive into some of the questions that we'll have, and we'll also be giving in-depth explanation for the different options that will be presented with. Question 1. The following query was executed on the following table. How many rows would be there in the output? Option A, 1. Option B, 2. Option C, 3. Option D, 4. Now, we see the query at the bottom here. We see the query at the bottom here. So select from employee where salary between 40,000 and 50,000. We have the table here. So if this query is executed on this table, how many rows will there be in the output? Looking at what we have here, so we're looking for where the salary is between 40,000 and 50,000. If we look at the table, we have just two rows where the salary falls between 40,000 and 50,000, and this is in this line and also this line. So that's John and Raj. The salary for John is 50,000, while the salary for Raj is 45,000. So our answer here would be option B. These are the two employees that meet this condition that we have here, where salary is between 40,000 and 50,000. Question 2. Which of the following languages deals with the structure or schema of the table? A. DML, B. DDL, C. DCL, D, TCL. DML is data manipulation language, and it is used to manipulate data in tables. So it can be used by using select, insert, update, or delete. DDL, or data definition language, is used to define or modify the structure or schema of database objects like tables, indexes, and views. DCL, or data control language, deals with permissions and access control, while TCL, or transaction control language, manages transactions in a database. Out of these options, the one that best fits this scenario given in the question is option B, data definition language. This is used to define or modify the structure or schema of database objects like tables, views, or. Question 3. Which of the following is incorrect about delete? A. The delete is a DML command that removes the table from the memory. B. The delete operation can be rolled back. C. The delete operation removes the selected rows based on condition. D. None of the above. Out of these options, the one that would be incorrect would be option A. The delete is a DML command, but it does not remove the table. It rather removes rows from a table, not the table itself. So removing the tables is done using DDL commands like drop. So this option A is incorrect. In the option we are told the delete is a DML command that removes the table from the memory. While it is a DML command, it does not remove the table from the memory. It removes rows from a table and not the table itself. The other options are correct because the delete operation actions can be rolled back if it is used within a transaction. Also, delete can use a where clause to remove specific rows. And option D would not be correct because one of the options would have to be incorrect. So it couldn't have been none of the above. So our answer here is option A. Question 4. How many columns are created in the output table for the following SQL DDL command? Option A, 3, B, 4, C, 5, D, syntax error. Looking at the command we have here, this command would create a table named employee, and it will have the following columns. So it will have the ID column, it will have the name column, department underscore name, and salary column. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will have 4 columns. So our answer is option B. The command will create the table employee with the 4 columns ID, name, department underscore name, and salary. Question 5. Which of the following command deletes all the rows from the table? A. Truncate. B. Drop. C. Delete. D. None of the above. The truncate command will remove all rows from a table quickly, but it does not log the individual row deletion, so it is actually faster than the delete command. Option B, drop, completely removes the table structure and all data. So once you use this drop command, that table will no longer exist. The delete command can delete rows if it is used without a where clause. However, it is slower and it also cannot be rolled back. Option D would not be the answer because one of these options has to be the correct one. And that correct one is option A, the truncate command. It removes all the rows from the table quickly without logging the individual row deletions. And this makes it faster than the delete command. Question 6. What data type is the most appropriate for the third column in the below schema? A. Text. B. Char. C. Varchar. D, none of the above. If we look at the schema we have, the third column is the date of birth column. We know that the date of birth column should have the data type of either date or date time. And if we look at the options we have here, that's data type is not stated. So our answer is option D, none of the above. Dates would be the correct data type for this. Question 7. What would be the query the user must have provided on the employee table to get the following outputs? So we have the employee table here. Out of these options, what query has the user provided in order to give this output? So let's take a look at the options properly. The correct query that this user must have provided would be option A. So if we look at this, the output shows a count of employees by ID and they are grouped by each city. So for instance, Bangalore has 3 employees. So if we look at the employee table, we have 1, 2, and 3. Chennai has 2, 1, 2, while the others have 1. So New Delhi has 1, Ranchi has 1, and the other cities have 1 employee each. So this is the query that the user must have provided in order to give this output. Question 8. Which of the following command deletes all the rows from the table, but the memory allocated to the table still remains? A. Deletes. B. Drop. C. Truncates. D. None of the above. The delete command deletes rows one by one and it logs each row deletion. It can also be rolled back if it is used within a transaction. The memory will, however, remain, but it is slower. The drop command completely removes the table and all associated memory. That means the table would no longer exist once the drop command is used. The truncate command deletes all rows from a table, but it keeps the table structure and memory allocation intact. Based on the scenario, this is exactly what we are looking for. So our answer here is option C. Question 9. Which of the following SQL default constraint is the most appropriate from the below attributes mentioned? A. Country attributes in an NMC. B. Phone number attributes of a student's table. C. City attributes in a local school. D. All of the above. Option A would not be ideal because in national or international organizations, individuals may come from various countries, so it is not safe to assume a default in option A. In option B, this would also not be appropriate because each phone number is unique to a student. Setting a default here would likely cause incorrect or duplicate data. Option C would be the most appropriate. So if the school is located in one city, just as we have here, we see city attributes in a local school. That means it is located in one, geographical location. It makes sense to set that city as the default for students unless it is otherwise specified. So our answer here would be option C, city attributes in a local school. Question 10. Which SQL statement is used to return only different values? A. Unique. B. Distinct. C. Different. D. Any. This option A, unique is not a constraint. In option A, unique is not a keyword for querying unique values. It is a constraint. In option B, the distinct keyword is used in a select statement to return only unique values from a column. So it returns only unique non-duplicate values from a column. Different is not a valid SQL keyword, and any is usually used in comparison operators. So with respect to the question, the SQL statement that is used to return only different values would be option B. So we can see in this scenario, the distinct keyword is used in a select statement to return only unique values. So when we when we execute this query, the query will return all unique cities from the employee tables and it will eliminate duplicates. Question 11. EverlastCyber has branches in 4 cities: Brantford, Kitchener, Milton, and Mississauga. While designing a database, the designer prefers to create a table with the scenario where the value should be one of the values in these 4 cities in the city column of the table. Which of the following SQL constraints is suitable for the given situation? A. Not null. B. Default. C. Check. D. Unique. Not null ensures that the columns cannot have null values, but it doesn't restrict specific value. In the scenario we have, the designer wants the values in the city column to be restricted to these 4 values that are listed in the scenario, which is Brantford, Kitchener, Milton, and Mississauga. In option B, default sets a default value if none is provided. However, it will not restrict to a list of values like we want. Option C, check, will allow you to define a condition. So, for instance, you can use check to ensure that the values that are listed in the city column of the table are just these 4 values that are mentioned in the scenario. Unique ensures all values in the columns are unique, but it doesn't restrict them to a specific list. So out of those options, the one that best suits what we want is using the check value. So if we use this, check city in Brantford, Kitchener, Milton, Mississauga. So it will ensure that the city column has just these 4 values. Question 12. Which of the following constraints satisfies both unique and not null features? A. Primary key. B. Unique. C. Not null. D. Foreign key. Out of these options, the correct answer would be option A. So, a primary key constraint ensures that each value is unique and also it ensures that no value is null. So, this satisfies both the unique and the not null requirements. The unique value will ensure uniqueness, but it might still allow null values. The not null will prevent nulls, but it doesn't guarantee uniqueness. And the foreign key can contain duplicate and null values unless it is combined with other constraints. So based on this option, option A is the one that satisfies the requirements, the unique and not null features that we need. Question 13. A supermarket frequently provides more discounts on billings, but for most of the days, the supermarket runs with 5% discounts on all products. What would be the appropriate SQL constraints to meet this requirement? A. Check. B. Not null. C. Unique. D. Default. The check constraint is used to enforce a condition. The not null ensures that a value is entered and but it doesn't provide a default. The unique value ensures that all the values are different, but this is not applicable in the scenario we have. The best that will be applicable is option D, the default constraint. So in this scenario, the supermarket usually applies a 5% discount, but sometimes a different discount may be applied. So setting 5% as the default discount value makes more sense. So that's why the default constraints in SQL is used to automatically assign a value to a column where no value is provided. Question 14. Which attributes from the tables below is the foreign key? So we have two tables here. Option A, name. Option B, ID. Option C, department underscore code. Option D, department underscore name. So looking at these two tables, we can see just by taking a glance that the department underscore code column can be found in the first table and the second table. So out of the options, our answer is option C. The department underscore code appears in both tables, and this is what can be referred to as the foreign key. A foreign key is a field in one table that uniquely identifies a row in another table, thereby creating a relationship between the two tables. So we have our answer there, option C. Question 15. The following query was executed on the following table. How many rows will be there in the output? So we have the query here. Option A, 16. Option B, 4. C, 2. D, 1. Looking at the query, it's supposed to select the age count from the student table. So if we look at the age column here, we see 1, 2, 3, 4. There are no null values. So these are all numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Our answer is option A, because this query counts only the non-null values in the age column, and we have 4 of them here. Question 16. The database administrator wants to assign the database user Sam to have update privilege on students table so that Sam can update the table. Which would be the correct query? So use some time and take a look at the options that we have. In option A, whose is not a valid SQL word. So this is not our answer. In option B, looking at the syntax, well, where is correctly used to filter the rows, and the syntax is accurate. So we are filtering for where we have the name of Sam Smith, and we're updating the set ID to 100. In option C, SQL does not use update table. It should just be updates. And in option D, set ID as 100 is incorrect, as is used for aliases and not for assignments. So the correct query from the options we have would be option B, because where is used correctly to filter the rows and the syntax is accurate. Question 16. The following query was executed on the employee table. What would be the salary value for the first row in the output table? Option A, 45,000. Option B, 50,000. Option C, 68,000. Option D, 52,000. So if we look at this query, it's supposed to order the students table by salary in descending order. So select from students and then order by salary in descending order. So ordering something in descending order means it's going to start from the highest value to the lowest. And looking at the table, the highest value we have is 68,000. So this is the salary value that will appear in the first row in the output table, and that makes our answer option C, 68,000. Question 18. The following query was executed on the following table. How many rows would be there in the output? Option A, 2. Option B, 3. Option C, 5. Option D, 4. Looking at the query, once this is run, it's going to select the rows where the city ends in the letter I. Now, let's look at the cities that we have in the table. So the cities that ends with the letter I are New Delhi 1, Chennai 1, Chennai 1, Ranchi 1. That makes it 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this, our answer would be option D, 4. These are all the rows where the city ends with the letter I. Question 19. The following query was executed on the following table. How many rows would be there in the outputs? Option A, 5, B, 4, C, 3, D, 2. Looking at the query, it's going to output the rows where the city is not Ranchi or Bangalore. If we take a look at that from the table, so the rows where the city is neither Ranchi nor Bangalore will be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means our answer would be option A, 5. These are all the rows where the city is not Ranchi and not Bangalore. Question 20. Which SQL statement is used to retrieve all records from a table named customers? A. Get from customers. B. Select from customers. C. Show all from customers. D. Fetch all from customers. Gets from customers is not a valid SQL statement. The word get is not used in standard SQL to retrieve data from tables. The correct one will be option B. Select from customers is the SQL statement that is used to retrieve all records from a table named customers. In option C, show all from customers is not a valid SQL syntax, as well as option D, fetch all from customers is also not a standard SQL syntax. The fetch command is used in some contexts with cursors to retrieve rows one at a time, but it is not used for selecting all records from a table. So our answer here is option B. Select from customers. This is the standard SQL statement that is used to retrieve all records from a table named customers. This brings us to the end of the multiple choice questions for SQL. Don't forget to comment, like, and share, and also hit the subscribe button so that you'll be informed when our next informative video will be dropping. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.